6:30 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. We'll have a live bet stream right here on Pub Sports Radio where they will be battling for the Vince Lombardi trophy. Right behind me, right there. The Vince Lombardi trophy. Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles, 14-3 in the regular season, 2-0 in the playoffs, meeting here at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Let's start with the line history. Now, the look-ahead lines for Super Bowl 57 were the Chiefs 1-point neutral site favorites over the Eagles. That was not what we saw from the opener. Some books open this up with the Eagles minus 2.5. Pinnacle opened this up with the Eagles minus 2. And right now, the Eagles are minus 1 at minus 110. The Eagles opened up on the money line at Pinnacle at minus 133. As of 5 days ago, they got down to minus 112. They have been sitting at minus 119 for the last little while. Totals-wise, we've seen a lot of movement here. This opened up at 49.5. It got all the way up to 51. It is now sitting at 50.5. Let's go over to the cash flow here. 259,753 tickets have been counted, and it's pretty simple. 60% of the tickets and 60% of the cash on the spread are on the Philadelphia Eagles. 49% of the tickets and 61% of the cash on the money line are on the Philadelphia Eagles. And 55% of the tickets, 62% of the cash are on the over. The Chiefs come in off a 23-20 victory at home over the Bengals. Despite the high ankle sprain, Patrick Mahomes went 29 of 43 for 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, caught 6 passes for 116 yards and 1 touchdown. Kelsey caught 7 passes for 78 yards and a touchdown. Their running game was completely shut down by the Bengals. The Chiefs finished with 20 carries for 42 yards. I think that the Eagles are more than capable of shutting down Pacheco and the Chiefs' run game. Again, that doesn't necessarily equate to a victory, but I expect the Eagles' defense to shut down the Chiefs' running game. Pacheco was held to 26 yards on 10 carries. He did catch 5 passes for 59 yards. That came as a bit of a surprise, as Pacheco had only caught 5 passes total in his previous 5 games. The Chiefs were 7 of 14 on third down, and they made the crucial plays to get a chance to compete for Super Bowl 57 and play in their 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years. The Chiefs are special on third down. We know that. The Chiefs have a third down conversion rate on 3rd and 10 or more of 43% this season. That's unbelievable. That's more than double the league average. That's unbelievable. Defensively, they got 5 sacks and 12 quarterback hits. I believe they are simply not going to be able to do that against the best offensive line in the league in the Eagles. The Chiefs are going to have to stop the Eagles. Can they do that? I think that's the biggest question in this game for me. Burrow was sacked 3 times in the first quarter, and the Bengals offense did not gain a single yard. I do not see that happening here. We know that the Chiefs' offense is excellent. Number 1 in DVOA this year. Philly was 3rd. The Eagles have a much better defense than the Chiefs, except if you look at the Chiefs from week 16 on. From week 16 on, the Chiefs have a number 7 defensive DVOA, and they close the gap on this excellent Eagles defense. The Chiefs defense, though, has a lot of holes. They allow successful plays on 56% of their rush attempts in the 4th quarter. That's the worst in the NFL. They allow 27 touchdown receptions in the red zone. That's the most in the NFL. The Eagles can take advantage of that, and I expect them to do just that. This Chiefs defense struggles in the 4th quarter, struggle in the red zone, and they allow 4.5 yards per carry and the 5th most rushing yards to quarterbacks in the regular season. That is the Eagles' bread and butter. The Chiefs are dealing with injuries to their receivers, Kadarius Toney, Juju Smith-Schuster, McCole Hardman, and they have injuries to Willie Gay and L'Jarius Sneed. I know a lot of people are talking about Jalen Hurts and what's going on with his shoulder, but we'll start here. Hardman was placed on injured reserve. Everybody else seems to be fine. Snead cleared concussion protocols. Willie Gay has a shoulder injury. He has listed as questionable. He's been a limited participant in practice, but that guy's one tough hombre. Juju Smith-Schuster returned to practice with his knee injury. Kadarius Toney's listed as probable, says he will definitely play. The Eagles come in off a very comfortable 31-7 victory at home over the 49ers. The 49ers lose Brock Purdy to a torn ligament in his elbow, and the Eagles slowly suffocated them. I believe it is a mistake to judge the Eagles' offense from that game. There was no need whatsoever to take any risks against a team that couldn't hurt them. Hurts was 15-25 for 121 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He also ran 11 times for 39 yards. We know that the Chiefs give up a ton of yardage to the quarterback. If you are looking at props, you have to question, what is Jalen Hurts' shoulder injury, and will he be comfortable running? He's 16-1 as a starter this year. The Eagles ran 44 times for 148 yards. Kenneth Gainwell led all rushers with 14 carries for 48 yards. Miles Sanders ran 11 times for 42 yards and 2 touchdowns. Devonta Smith led all receivers in the game with 36 yards receiving. Unbelievable that Billy Brisbane was able to cash that prop. Devonta to lead all receivers in receiving yards, and he got it at 36. The Eagles have scored 4.8 points per red zone drive this year. That's second best in the league. The Chiefs have allowed 4.6. That's third worst. The Eagles have scored 40 touchdowns in the red zone this season. The Chiefs, that's third in the NFL. The Chiefs allowed 37. That's tied for third. There's a belief, and I had it once myself, that if this game was close, the Chiefs have a genuine advantage with Mahomes at quarterback. I don't know anymore. The Eagles have a third down conversion rate of 48.4% in the fourth quarter. That's phenomenal. That's second best in the NFL. The Chiefs defense have allowed a third down conversion rate of 46.3% in the fourth quarter. That's fourth worst. Against the Niners, the Eagles got 3 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. They held the Niners to 164 yards. I know those numbers don't really count when you're talking about a team that didn't have a quarterback, but this is an Eagles defense that had 70 sacks. Now the Chiefs had 55. The Chiefs have 7 players with at least 3.5 sacks, but the Eagles have the best offensive line in the league. Philly allowed the least passing yards per game, the second fewest yards per game, and we're top 10 in scoring defense. They sacked opposing quarterbacks on 11% of pass attempts. We've seen what Darius Slay and James Bradbury are capable of doing. Now you can say the Eagles had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL and had playoff games against Daniel Jones and the 49er team that was down to no quarterback. Those are valid statements. I want to bet the Philadelphia Eagles. I plan to bet them, take them on the money line, and get paid. I would like to hear from everybody in the chat. How are you getting paid? What are your best spots? What are your best bets? Newkirk Kelsey anytime touchdown at -110. Harold Williams is on Eagles -1.5 and the Eagles money line. We want to know what you guys are doing to get paid in full. Sky Dragon says Kansas City's elite pass rush can be negated by Philadelphia's offensive line. Philly's run game, the best in Kansas City's been all year. Kansas City secondary inexperienced and can be beat. Philly will move the ball. Look, I love what McDuffie was doing, 21st overall pick. I think that knowing now that L'Jarius Sneed is healthy, I do think that the Chiefs secondary got better and better and better as the season goes on, but I think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying. Sky Dragon says Hurts is fine. He refused to take hits in the 2 games versus the Giants. He was lowering the shoulder against San Francisco. He had 2 extra weeks. He is fine. It is time for 9 different cappers who we have tracked all season long to give us their best bets. I thought about, do I want the first half under? It's a bet I make in a lot of these championship games, whether it being a Super Bowl or a Grey Cup. Or do I just want to keep it so clean, bet the Eagles on the money line, and have a K ready to go for live betting after going 8-8 in the conference finals? I'm leaning towards that. I'm leaning towards everybody keeping it clean. Your first guest has been spectacular all season long. He had a lead here, as we track everybody, of double-digit units all season long. Right now, his lead over the big Ragoo is down to 1.13 units, but he's been spectacular. 96 wins, 71 losses, plus 18.7 units. What a season he has had. And in this spectacular season, he's done 16 shows. What consistency at high volume. Please welcome your current leader in our NFL Pub Hub from Canada's black and yellow, Mr. Ian Cameron.
Let's get to props because we got a lot of guests and I want to keep the show rolling. So I'm going to go right into props. I'm going to go with my first prop, and it's the layup prop. It's a prop I think it's going to happen. He's not going to be someone that's ever going to be anything but number one in terms of targets for Patrick Mahomes. And we're going to go with it's just an easy one for me to bet this one, especially at this price. It's Travis Kelce touchdown -110. I like it. He's going to find a way to get into the end zone. That's just what he does. He's a big game tight end. That's just what he does. And if you look at it too, I think no matter what the defense tries to do, to alleviate the impact of Travis Kelce on the football game, it's never successful. It really isn't. I mean, he finds a way to get open. He finds a way to make plays. He finds a way to get into the end zone. And so you're asking a guy that's just almost automatic to get into the end zone, -110 to score a touchdown. That's exactly what I'm going to go with here in this game. And also in terms of the prop market, I'm not going to make the Kelce receptions and receiving yards official, but I did bet both. And, where the receptions, I think, are up to 7.5 now at most books. If it was 6.5 with lower juice, I would have made it official. But I do want to point out I did bet those. We won't make those official, though. Just the touchdown prop, -110 here on Travis Kelce in this game. I'm on Dallas Goedert, tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles, over receptions and over receiving yards. The tight end position is the one little area of weakness Kansas City has had. If you look at their positional defensive numbers, defending number one receivers, a little bit better. Number two receivers, a little bit better. Stopping the run, better. Tight ends, though, they're a bottom half of the NFL ranking in terms of defending the tight end position, the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think when you look at this matchup here for him in this game, and make no mistake about it, Dallas Goedert has gained tremendous chemistry, targeted often by Jalen Hurts this year. So Dallas Goedert, over 4.5 receptions, -125 at Pinnacle. We'll go with that, as well as over 48.5 receiving yards, -110 at Bet365. We'll lock those two in. Here is a unique prop that I've decided to roll with here in this football game. The team to call the first timeout of the football game. I'm going with Kansas City. There is a huge discrepancy between these two teams in terms of the percentage of time they called the first time out in the football game. Philly rarely did. Okay, I think Philly is something like 35 to 40% this year of their games where they've called the first time out. Kansas City is at the other end of the spectrum. Andy Reid treats his timeouts like a parent treating candy to their kids, just gives it away. Here you go. Here's a lollipop. Here's this. Here's that. That's what Andy Reid does with his timeouts. He uses them a lot. If they're unsure about a play call, they won't hesitate, burn a timeout, get everybody on the same page. The percentages are just way too strong to ignore it. And this was something that I thought was very appealing to me. And you can bet that right now, currently -125 DraftKings for that first time out prop. So first time out Kansas City, -125 in this game. There's a couple more, and then we'll stop there. I'm trying to isolate this here, final week of the season, to what I think are some of my strongest looks, at least as far as the props go. I'm going to definitely throw this one on the card for sure. This stands out like a sore thumb to me. Jerick McKinnon over receiving yards for the Kansas City Chiefs. Back to catch the football out of the running back spot. It's a situation where this is a fierce pass rush for the Eagles. No joke. They can get after the quarterback. Now, we know the ankle has been an injury that's been going for a few weeks for Mahomes. I think he'll be able to be maybe a little bit more mobile. But that still, I don't think, means all of a sudden he's going to be able to hold the football there for 3, 4, 5 seconds and 7-step drops and wait for routes to develop. He won't be able to do that all the time. there's going to be situations where, he is going to have to dump the ball off to a running back. And I think for me in that game, that's McKinnon. Pacheco's been more of the carries running back, the guy that gets the rock, that runs the football. But I think in this game, Jerick McKinnon will be used in the passing game and probably in red zone situations as well. That wouldn't shock me. That's something the Chiefs have gone to a lot. We're not asking a lot. It's 20.5 with his receiving yards prop, minus 110 at Bet365. So we're going to rock with that as well. Jerick McKinnon over 20.5 receiving yards at Bet365 at minus 110. And you know what? I'm going to pump the brakes there. I've got a bunch more props. I like Hurts rushing yards, but again, this is just a game that can go all over the place. I was on Gainwell, and I almost used Gainwell on this show as an official play, but the more I'm looking at it, I think they're going to be using a ton of different options to run the football. I think Hurts is going to run it more than he did against San Francisco. I could see Miles Sanders being a bigger part of the run game here. I wouldn't even rule out Boston Scott being more heavily involved here for the Philadelphia Eagles. So betting the rushing props, in particular with the Philadelphia Eagles, I think is a tricky proposition right now because you're just not sure who's going to get the lion's share of the targets, the lion's share of the attempts. So that's why I'm pumping the brakes on Gainwell. And it's kind of like, he had the big game against the Giants. You were concerned, Jimmy. I came back with him against the Niners. It didn't matter. This is the game where I'm concerned about coming back to the well with Kenneth Gainwell, because I just think there's other options. And after he had a great game against San Francisco, I could see Sirianni and the offensive coaching staff saying, hold on now, let's throw a curveball. Let's go in another direction here, running the football against the Kansas City Chiefs. So I definitely think that's a situation where I like Gainwell again this week, but I've got enough reservations where I'm going to just pump the brakes a little bit and keep it off the official card. So we'll stop there, Jimmy. We got a lot more props that I've bet already, but I find I've left the best of the best here on the card for this Super Bowl Pub Hub show. So there you have it.
Let's bring on your next guest, coming to us from Brooklyn. Now, he was only with us for 7 different shows this year, but he won our Cappers contest at Pub Sports Radio, picked up a little under $3K, and we're going to have a bigger, badder one coming up next year. But our first champion in NFL Cappers contest, and his record would have been just out of the top 50 in the Circa Millions. He was spectacular. With us on the show, he is 12-11 plus 0.12 units. He's coming off a 3-1 conference week, up plus 1.89 units. And he's here to rock with us right now. A man I've looked up to since I've started, and a man we all emulate. He taught us about transparency and accountability and honesty, 3 things that are missing in this industry. Please welcome from Brooklyn, Mr. Peter Loshak.
How's it going, Jimmy? The first-time viewers might have been like, that guy with that intro looks like that. They got to have Tony or Juju. I mean, I'm assuming that they're going to be 100%, but that might not be a smart assumption to make. They need to be 100%. And I think Philly's scary, right? The offensive line is vicious, right? Now, if I were the coach of Philly, I would have them run a lot. I don't necessarily – we know how Jalen Hurts deals with pressure, not so great. A lot of people are talking about Hurts' shoulder. I'm not worried about Hurts' shoulder. I'm worried about just Hurts in general. Not that I'm worried about him, but, he's obviously an awesome quarterback, but he's not Mahomes. You know what I mean? And so I am worried about Hurts, not because of the injury. The injury means nothing. I'm just worried about his ability to, in the prime time, under pressure, to throw long. Those are all things, when he was with Alabama, he didn't do great in the title game. His numbers aren't that great under pressure. His numbers throwing long aren't that great. On the other hand, Philly has a legit awesome offensive line, which is maybe even underrated. They're awesome, and maybe even a little bit more awesome than people give him credit for. Hurts is an awesome runner. They got 3 good running backs. So if I were the Eagles, I would run a lot. I would run probably a lot more. So as far as props are concerned, I'm thinking that I don't know if they're going to do that. I think that's what they should do. I would be looking at maybe Eagles rushing props over and Eagles passing props under. And I definitely think the one prop I do think might be a great bet is just sacks under, full game sacks under, which is 5.5, right, at minus 140. I think the Eagles are going to run more than we expect them to, and I think Mahomes is going to be fine in terms of his mobility. There might be a sack or two here and there, but the Eagles have a vicious offensive line. Mahomes is not going to get sacked much, I don't think. And I'm seeing it at Bet Online. The sack prop is 5.5 on the game. Is that correct?
It is, and it went under 5.5 easily. There was only 4 sacks in the conference finals between the Eagles and the Niners.
Right.
And to add to your Hurts under pressure, we talked about it 2 weeks ago. 20th in passer rating, 65.2, 28th in completion rate, 43.9% when pressured.
So those just aren't great numbers. So I'm definitely, with the Eagles, I'm gonna hedge out at least half of the futures bet that I made with the Chiefs, and I might take a position on the Chiefs as well. I just like the Chiefs. It makes me nervous that you're liking the Eagles, and yes, the main concerns for me are just the Eagles have such a vicious offensive line, dominant offensive line. Sirianni is just a coach who is a winner, right? And so I'm assuming that whatever they should do is going to be close to what they will do, in my opinion. And I'm not an NFL coach. My opinion, they should be running a lot more in this game than people might be expecting. So I don't want to bet against Sirianni. Don't want to bet against that offensive line. And then, of course, on the other side, yes, the injury concerns for Casey are a factor. But I just like Mahomes, and it's not even a knock on Hurts necessarily. Just Mahomes is awesome. And I think Hurts is a liability, and hopefully Philly will have. The Chiefs will have enough weapons on offense to get it done. So I'm liking the Chiefs, but I will admit that I'm liking it less and less the more that I'm looking into it. Still liking it though, and again, haven't bet any props yet, but definitely liking the under on the sack props, and probably going to be taking some Philly rushing over props. And I also would agree with what Ian Cameron said about Kelsey. It's just I don't know how they're going to be able to prepare for him in a way that will shut him down. I mentioned that in the championship game. I didn't make it official, but Kelsey receiving yards over and receptions over. In the preview, I mentioned that I was liking those, and it was no-brainer play cash there. Definitely not a lock, a guaranteed to win, but yeah, Kelsey is likely to have a big day here, and yeah,
and cashed by the slimmest of margins.
Yeah.
7 receptions, and that over 6.5 was juiced heavily at -150.
Sure. But yeah, I think the Kelsey is hugely dangerous here. Then again, who knows if Casey's wide receivers really are banged up and Sirianni is specifically anticipating that and has a specific sort of monkey wrench game plan to shut Kelsey down, that'll be a problem for betting the Kelsey props. But from as it looks right now, Kelsey props look great.
I can't help but brag about your next guest just because of his consistency, how he does it in every sport, how he does it with such class. So I'm just always going to, look, I call it how it is, man. And he's also going to be in San Antonio with us. So those of you who have never run with a legend who's G'd up from the feet up, and blued up from the shoe up, and everything that we are aspiring to be, you can come down to San Antonio and see it in person. You can also see him cash in 11 of 12 shows, in 8 straight shows, 57 and 41 plus 17.57 units. Our champion last year, and now a 1.13 units out of being our champion this year. Numbers don't lie. Please welcome your next guest from Ocala, Florida, the big Ragoo in the house.
That's what happens, my man. When you run in good company, it kind of bleeds over. And yes, this is the Eagles, but not the Eagles that are playing on Sunday. It's the Hotel California Eagles, just in case you're wondering. But good to be with you guys. What a wonderful show. This is better. I watched the Grammys Sunday night, and this is better than the Grammys because the company I'm keeping, we got all-stars all over the place, and guess what? We're getting fucking paid.
Wow.
Now I know Ian kind of stepped off of Gainwell. Well, I was following Ian on his action coming up, and I was kind of paying a little bit of attention, but last week he put in overdrive for me, or the week before with Gainwell and action, which I don't think I gave any picks on the show for that, but I like him to come back this week. So I like Gainwell to score. And anytime touchdown, the Eagles will win it. Plus,
your next guest has had the best single week of anybody on this entire season. On wild card week, he went 10-2 plus 9.75 units. He's been throwing a big quantity of action. In the regular season, he only had 1 week where he made 5 bets. A lot of weeks with 3 bets, some with 4, but he never pushed it. Then wild card, he had 12. Divisional round, he had 11. Conference finals, he went 16. He's firing shots, and I love working with him. Please welcome from South Jersey, Billy Brisbane to the show. Brizzy, what up, my man? How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Can you see me?
Yeah, your money.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Another Tuesday night in the association, getting ready for some Lakers Thunder basketball, but we got to make some time for some NFL. It's the best time of the year. You get in early on the props, and I couldn't give you everything that I like because everything isn't out yet, but we get a good sample here. But I will say my largest bet of the weekend will be placed on the Gatorade color. Yep. Player prop wise, I like Quez Watkins under 1.5 receptions minus 120. We're going back to the well here. He's gone under 1.5 receptions in 9 out of his last 14 games with Goddard active. Last 2 weeks has been his lowest route participation rates of the whole entire season. So I would bet this line up to minus 180. I think it's going to close around minus 175. So
you bet this in the conference final, under 1.5 receptions at minus 138, finished with 0 receptions. What is the juice here?
Minus 120.
Wow. So it's gone down a little bit. Interesting. Wow. I would have thought that would have continued to go up. Interesting. Quez Watkins under 1.5 receptions at minus 120. Keep rolling.
I like the Philadelphia Eagles team total over 13 first half. Shouts to my guy, Tom Miggs. The Eagles have gone over the first half team total 15-2 during the regular season and 2-0 during the playoffs. It's been a cash cow all year. So we would need 2 touchdowns or 1 touchdown and 2 field goals. I definitely think they can get there. So I like the Eagles team total over 13 first half.
Eagles team total of first half over 13. What's the juice with that?
Minus 110.
Often in these championship games, we see the first half a little slower, and some of the biggest bets I've made have been on first half unders. I haven't moved on that yet. If you had a free bet right now on the first half at 24, would you want to go over it or under it?
I think I would like to go over, preferably because it's in a dome. So we're getting 2 top 5 offenses in the NFL in a dome game. The Chiefs have problems guarding a running quarterback. So that doesn't really set up the most recipe of success. I think, this is going to be a shootout. This is a showcase. First Super Bowl with 2 black quarterbacks. So I definitely think they're going to want some history to be made in this game.
Interesting. I still need to. That's. And I'm going to ask a few other cappers here on the show. I'm still having trouble with the total, but I tell you what, I still feel like it's under or no bet for me, and I'm pretty comfortable with that.
I think one of these teams could put up the total just by themselves. I think this is going to be one of those games that there's going to be points scored. There's no way, no how, because I feel like a lot of the plays that the Eagles score on are usually big plays. It's not like the traditional red zone play. We're usually scoring 20 yards out.
So let me ask you this. I mean, your Eagles inside now. How much running do you expect? How many rush attempts do you expect? Because I expect the Eagles to run and run and run and run. Now, do you think I'm off a little bit?
I think it's going to be not completely off. I think it's going to be a low amount of attempts, but successful attempts, if that makes sense. So Miles Sanders is probably going to get around 7 yards per carry. That would be his average projection for this game. And if that's the case and Jalen Hurts is projecting well and the run game's going, that just means big chunk plays. So I could see Miles Sanders have a good day, but maybe not find the back of the end zone, but have big chunk plays.
Okay. All right. So we have Eagles plus 7.5 in the over 43.5 at minus 151. We have Quez Watkins under 1.5 receptions at minus 120. Eagles first half team total over 13 at minus 110. Keep rolling, my man.
Yeah, this is going to be the last player prop on the card. We'll talk about some more anytime touchdown props. I'll probably add more player props throughout the week, but this is the most convicted player prop that I like for this weekend is L'Jarius Sneed over 5.5 tackles and assists, minus 105. Chiefs starting cornerback. He's cleared this in 14 out of 18 games so far this season, and the Eagles have allowed a primary outside corner to hit this in 7 out of their last 8 games, and he leads the NFL in tackles in both the run and pass game among cornerbacks, and he should be heavily involved in coverage with both A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. So that's the prop that I like the most this weekend. Weirdly, oddly enough, these defensive player props are coming in real low in odds, but the trends and data are there to be taken advantage of. But it's just out of all the Super Bowl props, nobody's going to the defensive player prop section and betting players over unders on tackles and assists. So that's one way I think we're getting value in these playoffs. If you've seen a lot of my betting cards this playoffs have included like a defensive player prop or two, and I usually don't ever really do that during the regular season.
I have noticed that your defensive player props have been nice for you. So I get it. So that at this point, Snead over 5.5 tackles is the lone official player prop you're dropping?
Yeah, next 3 are going to be all touchdown props.
Okay, well, let's get into it. Next up, anytime touchdowns or first and last?
Anytime.
Anytime touchdowns. All right, take it away, my man.
Yeah, I like Travis Kelce, minus 115, square play, but he scored in the last 5 postseason games, 11 out of the last 14 games, leading the Chiefs with 15 touchdowns this season, and she get plenty of chances to find the back of the end zone. Kelce's 1 touchdown shy of passing Gronk for the second most receiving postseason touchdowns, and Kelce and Mahomes are 2 touchdowns away from passing Brady and Gronk for most postseason touchdowns by a quarterback tight end duo. So I think there's a lot on line for Travis Kelce this Super Bowl.
Kelce, anytime touchdown, minus 115. Who's next?
Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown, plus 100. He scored a rushing touchdown 15 out of the last 17 games this season. Find the end zone 7 out of the last 9 games. The Chiefs allowed the 5th most rushing yards to the quarterback position and the 6th most rushing touchdown to opposing quarterbacks. So good spot here for Jalen Hurts to find the back of the end zone. You know Jalen Hurts always likes to call his own number.
Yeah, Sonny. Son Dizzle, who's here at the spot right now. He's off to play the Ottawa club here this week, but he's going to be down in San Antonio with us, and he's headlining our comedy show on the Sunday night. He is also he's using Hurts anytime touchdown and the Eagles win, Kelce anytime touchdown and the Chiefs win, and he's sitting back thinking that it's that he's completely in business for a big. You like what he's doing there?
Yeah, I don't blame him. I mean, if they're 2 separate different tickets, I mean, I definitely think if the Eagles win, Hurts probably scores. Kelce wins. I mean, if the Chiefs win, Kelce scores. I think the Chiefs thing is a little bit more predictive that Kelce and the Chiefs win rather than Hurts and the Eagles win, because the Eagles use a bunch of fucking random motherfuckers in the red zone. That's why I'm not trying to play too many Eagles anytime touchdown props this weekend.
He also wants Kelce first touchdown and Hurts first touchdown, and I'm legitimately thinking of not sending it in his action.
I would not send that one in. The first touchdown props those are giveaway bets. I'd rather bet the Gatorade color, man. At least you can make a predictive narrative decision, smart decision, and bet 3 different Gatorade props above plus 400 odds. It is the best prop to bet on for the Super Bowl. It is my true addiction, is betting on Gatorade Super Bowl player props. I'm probably going to do way too much research into that this weekend.
Okay, well, don't get me excited about not sending in his action, because it blew up in my face a few weeks ago. Brizzy, Kelce, anytime touchdown. Hurts, anytime touchdown. What's next?
Dallas Goedert, anytime touchdown, plus 175. You can probably find better odds if you odd shop. All these odds are FanDuel odds. The Chiefs gave up the 2nd most touchdowns to the slot and 9 touchdowns to the tight end position. In their last matchup a minute ago in 2021, week 4, he scored in. So I watched that game a little bit to see what we have basically the same exact type of offenses back then. So I kind of wanted to see what kind of offense we would run. Goddard looked pretty involved. So I think he scores a touchdown this weekend. We've been targeting the Chiefs slot this whole entire playoffs. It's been a cash cow. Some other novelty props that I like for the weekend. I mean, the Super Bowl MVP props, those are pretty obvious of which ones to bet. You would probably want to take Hurts, Mahomes, and Kelce. And then the only other ones that I really like are the Gatorade color props. Those don't really come out until this weekend. And then other novelty props are like, I feel like the national anthem. Usually you always bet the under on the national anthem, and then no touchback on the first kickoff. Those are just a quick little couple plays to get you started before the actual game starts. And Rihanna halftime Super Bowl for her song. They have the odds out on DraftKings for it, and I think that is going to be on my betting card. I'm not gonna lie. The odds were pretty juicy. It was like minus 500 for like the top one. So that's something more. Follow me over on Twitter. We'll talk about the Rihanna halftime props, but there's a lot of plus monies in that Rihanna halftime Super Bowl show.
We're moving on to our next guest. We go from South Jersey up to Kingston, Ontario for your next guest. And he has been excellent this year. He had a rough divisional round here that set his record back, but we all cap with him, and we know his skill set. So Super Bowl bounce back for your next guest. Please welcome Birdy to the show. Birdy, how are you, my friend?
I'm very good, thank you. Well, Super Bowl bounce back, we'll see, because it sounds like I'm going to be totally opposite of everybody that's been on the show thus far. Yeah, it's the way the year's gone. I mean, I bet San Fran and they lose their third and fourth string quarterback. It's just the way the year's gone. But hey, the record is what it is. This is a great show. There's great cappers on it. I learn a lot from everybody here, and it only makes you better, and I'm ready to go tonight.
What do you want to make official here for our record-keeping purposes?
Okay, I'm going to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire in this game. Happy that he's back. If you go back and look at last time these two teams played, it was a Tyreek Hill game. Tyreek Hill's no longer here. So what Clyde Edwards-Helaire does is allow him to run the football and allows Pacheco to get out wide. He's the fastest guy in this team. What we saw last week, what we hadn't seen, is Pacheco catch the football. And I think that's significant here, because I think what's going to happen is Pacheco's going to be the guy that ends up pushing the field, pushing the ball down the field. Because the reality of it is the Eagles are not going to worry about deep passes, because the Chiefs haven't shown it this year at all. And he's the one threat they have from a speed perspective that can get wide now that Hardman can't play. And I think we see a couple shots to him deep, whether it's a wheel route or however they scheme him up. I think Helaire being back is going to be big for Kansas City, because they also got 200 yards rushing on this Eagles defense the last time they played. Granted, no Sue, no Quinn, but the Eagles still have shown this year you can run on them. And I like Andy Reid in this spot, game planning, that type of offensive attack. So we're going to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire anytime touchdown at plus 150. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire 2 touchdowns in the game at 10-1.
Wow.
And we're going to go with Kansas City to win every quarter, or to be leading at the end of every quarter at plus 340. Kansas City to win at the half.
Wait, slow down a bit. Sorry to say every quarter. Ahead of every quarter was at what? Plus
350.
350, okay.
And then Kansas City to be leading at the half and full game at plus 180.
Chiefs first half full game plus 180, okay.
And we're going to go with because I think the only guy on Kansas City, even though I have Edwards-Helaire playing a big game, I think he can get 2 of those touchdowns in short yardage. The only guy on Kansas City that could take this MVP is Pacheco, because Pacheco, I believe, will also be running kickoffs and he'll be doing punt returns, because he's a playmaker. And I think he has the ability to make enough plays in this game at 110-1. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on Pacheco to win the MVP in this game.
Jesus. Okay. 100. Okay. I'll do the numbers here. Okay. Yeah.
All right. And I think that's about all. Okay. Sorry. Total punts over 7.5 at plus 120. As I say, I think we're going to see some punts in this game. I think the Eagles are going to struggle to score in this big of a moment, and I hope I get proven wrong for DG's sake, because I know Dennis is a massive Eagles fan, and I'm rooting for him hard. And I know you'll be on the Eagles, but Dennis is a true Eagles fan. And if I lose because the Eagles won, I'm happy for Dennis.
We go from Kingston back to NYC. Your next guest is as much of a legend as any of the cappers that we look up to, and he's not on our shows enough. And then I miss him. And he's here right now. He was only with us for 2 weeks during the season, and I can only hope that we get more of him in the future. I love the man. Please welcome New York City, Dommy Gun Ricci. Dommy, how are you, my man?
Jimmy. What's happening, buddy? How's everything?
Everything.
Good to see that face of yours.
Thank you, bud.
How's everybody out in Publand doing? We are rocking here in New York City. I'm excited. Super Bowl 5 days away. It's looking good. And shout out to Birdy, man. Birdy's the best. Love you, Birdy. A real nice thing he said about everybody. It's so sincere, and we know it's from the heart. So, man, gotta shout out to Birdy.
But we're talking Super Bowl 57 here at Dommy Gun, and we want to know how you are getting paid in this one. Take it away. The floor is yours. Chiefs, Eagles.
I don't have a lot of bets in with different prop bets. I usually save them for the end. I'm not the biggest prop player, but of course, for the Super Bowl, you got to throw in some props. But I do have a couple things to help you along in case you are playing some basic props. I found something about the touchdowns. It's for Hurts. 24% chance that he has 0 touchdowns. 34% he throws 1. 24.5% he throws 2. 11.5% he throws 3. And 4+ is at 5.6%. Now check this one out. Holmes, 11%, 0 touchdowns. 24%, 1. 26%, almost 27, 2 touchdowns. 20% for 3, but 4 touchdowns or more, almost 18%. I thought that was telling. That kind of jumped up at me. There was a last 13 Super Bowls, 17 of the 26 starting quarterbacks have thrown at least 1 interception. And last year, last year was Stratford threw 2. So there's always an interception or 2 in the Super Bowl. Something to keep your eye out on. Interceptions, another distribution. Hurts. 0 interceptions is 50%. Mahomes, 40%. That Hurts throws 1 interception is 34.5%. Mahomes, 36.5%. And 2+ interceptions. Hurts, 15%. Mahomes, 23%. So if you're betting interceptions, that might help you. If you're betting touchdowns, that might help you. As far as the game is concerned, I didn't put no props in, but first of all, I love the both tight ends. Tight ends have been getting paid all through these playoffs. If you notice, they just been every game they've been getting paid. And I had Goddard in the last 2 games in some fashion or another, which helped. I had my usual roller coaster season this year in NFL. It's just so hard it's really hard, NFL. And I don't plug it as much as I probably should, but the last 2 weeks have just been beautiful, and it was all Eagles. I was heavy on the Eagles for the Giants. And you know me, I'm usually a one-unit guy, but it was different. I thought that there was no way the Giants were going to win that game, and it wasn't too popular around here with that bet. And then last week against the 49ers, and it's kind of the same thing I'm hearing about the Chiefs. Everybody loved the 49ers last week, and I know that their guy got hurt, Purdy got hurt, I know all that. But their defense didn't stop nobody. The Eagles still scored 35 points on that defense that I think is, on paper, better than the Chiefs' defense. So I kind of like the Eagles in a lot of different ways. I can't believe I'm looking at Bet Online right now, Jim, and both team totals in the first half been knocked down to 12.5. Both at minus 135, which, you know me, I don't like to be over that 140, 130. But both are at 12.5. I almost feel like taking both of them. I can't believe I'm looking at it right now. Bet Online.
I think that no matter how good your defense is, you need to keep them off the field.
Right.
If your defense is going to be on there for 37 minutes, you also
That's it.
need
I agree with you.
hope. You need hope. And the 49ers had no hope. And the defensive intensity, once the score became,
The air got
21-7.
taken out of them.
So
I agree 100% with that.
I think
But I like the Eagles a lot. And I do heard you talking about the total. I like the over. I can't see how there's not. I don't see how it does not go over, especially in that dome stadium, like Brizzy mentioned. And, that's how I kind of look at it. But if you want to know so Mahomes, right, number one passing yards this year, right? 5,200, 5,250, 5,250. Eagles number one in net passing yards allowed. So something has to give, right? I think, the Eagles defense isn't going to be as good. It's the Super Bowl. Fluke things happen. I think it could easily go into like 54 points or better in this game. The refs are going to give the Chiefs at least 2 extra possessions that could turn into points. They're going to get 2 weird calls that they're going to get because this is the Chiefs and this is the way it is. And I felt that's what happened last week. Not on the last play, of course. That was just ridiculous on for the Bengals. That was a ridiculous hit on the at the end.
we go from New York City up to Toronto. And your next guest has put on quite a performance here. Sharpie had our next guest. Now, I hammer thoroughbreds with him, and I know the kind of capper he is. But Sharpie was like, he came on live with us and cash this, cash that, cash this. We didn't get him on our show till week 8. Got him on week 8. He went 6-2 plus 3.88 units. He, on our show over the course of 7 weeks, went 26 wins, 18 losses, plus 9.81 units. Currently ranked 4th out of 21 cappers. And I love watching him work, man. This guy gets that cash. Please welcome from the 6, Mr. Spenny Penny Bombs. Spenny, how are you, my man?
How we doing, Jimmy? How we doing, chat? Let's get it going today. Let's get it going. We got a big week coming up. And then, I'm going to definitely get into some of these just random smaller prop markets they have for the Super Bowl going on here. I know the few people we've been talking about Kenneth Gainwell a bunch and how much more touches that he's been getting, how a little bit more involved in the offense that he's been getting. I think that we could be in for a decent Kenneth Gainwell game. I really like this guy. I really like the change of pace. I really like the way that he runs. KC's defense is vulnerable. So I'm going to take a long shot here, and I'm going to take Kenneth Gainwell to have the most rushing yards in the game at plus 900.
Wow. Kenneth Gainwell, most rushing yards, plus 900. He is an extremely intelligent football player. We've all seen that. We know he was a quarterback in college, but you really feel his intellect when he talks about the game and when he's on the field. Interesting look. Gainwell, most rushing at plus 900. Very, very interesting look. Keep rolling.
Yeah, I just thought that was a lot of value for a guy that has come into the playoffs and shown his ability to, break a lot of runs and put up some, big chunks. So I think he could definitely be heavily involved in this game. So next I'm going to go into most net yards for the team. I'm going to go actually with KC here at plus 100. Again, like we were talking about earlier, we think that, the Eagles will try and slow the pace down, try and take the ball out of Mahomes' hands. But in reality, I still think Mahomes is probably going to be able to throw, at least 300 some odd yards. They'll be able to run the ball a little bit. I think that KC's be able to have more yards in this game, but the Eagles are going to try and do what they do and try and control the clock. But the KC is going to have to try and do more yards. They're a passing offense generally anyway, so you know that Mahomes is probably going to be throwing the ball 40, maybe even 50 times in this game.
Chiefs most net yards at plus 100. Interesting. Makes me nervous. I know this is we have the number one seed from each conference playing each other, and obviously there's going to be parity when you get to this level. If you're dealing with number one seeds, it does make me nervous that you're on the Chiefs. Makes me very, very nervous and uncomfortable. Keep rolling.
And then next one I'm gonna go to team with the most third down conversions. Gonna go back to KC here at plus 110. KC's been hitting at a 48%, a little bit over 48% on the season, 51% in their last 3 games. I think this is a game where we could see Mahomes in a few third and long situations where he's gonna have to do that Mahomes magic, make some plays happen, pull that kind of play where we're just like, how the fuck did he do that kind of thing, right? And so I think Mahomes is going to be in a few third down and long situations. I feel like if the Eagles get into some third down situations, depending on where it is in the field, they'll take a chance at running the ball more on third down and going for it on fourth down. I think that's just the way that they've shown throughout the year that they're willing to go for it more on fourth down. They'll take a chance on third, run it more, and then take that chance again on fourth down if they're fourth and 2, 3 kind of thing.
Can I jump in there quickly, because the league average on a third and 10 or more to convert is 19%. And even when I read that, I was like, that's higher than I would think. That took me back. And then you see the Chiefs are at 43% on third and 10 or more. They
have so many set plays, and I know that he's been injured and he's been able to escape the pocket a little bit more, but I think with a couple of weeks, I think the ankle will be a little bit better. I think he'll be able to swing out of the pocket a little bit more and create those plays that he's going to need to create. I think definitely if KC's in some third down situations, I think they're going to be able to pull it off for sure. So plus 110 for that one.
Plus 110, I got it. So most third down conversions, Chiefs, plus 110. Keep rolling.
And then next one, I'm going field goals. Both teams to have a field goal of 34 plus yards at minus 115. I just think that, again, if these teams are closer to the red zone, they're going to be willing to take those chances on fourth down, maybe go for it, trying to get into the end zone. But if they are a little bit further back, I feel like both these coaches are smart enough to take the points. And 34 plus yards, I think that both they have reliable kickers and they have faith in their kickers, and I definitely feel like if they're put in situations where they're 40 yards plus, 35 yards plus, they're willing to use their kickers in this game. So both kickers to have a field goal at 35 plus yards, I think was a decent bet there. Minus 115.
Yeah, I agree. Was that 30? So is it over 34 and a half, or do I put over?
So both kickers both teams to have a field goal of 34 plus yards at minus 115.
Yeah, I've thought a lot about the punting and field goal props, and I'd like to get a little closer come Super Bowl. I'm really hesitant to make this fun.
Yeah.
Because I've had such a good season, and I would rather just keep everything clean.
Right, I get it. You want to keep the record clean, just keep it nice and straight.
But also the cash clean.
Yeah.
Who needs fun? I love this shit.
I love money. Who needs? It's all the fun you need right there.
And it took everything for me not to take LeBron under 32 and a half. I spent 30 minutes talking to Sonny about it. It took everything for me not to bet LeBron over 10. I was like, I don't need this. I'm having enough. I get enough joy out of this. And I'm trying to keep that clean for the Super Bowl. This isn't like, I'm not sitting here with, $20 bets for fun. I want to make money, keep shit clean, and get that cash. And
for sure.
But it's very tricky, and the field goal prop that you just mentioned is quite appealing at this point. So keep rolling. Both teams field goal over 34 and a half.
Yeah. And then I actually have either team to have a 2-point conversion at plus 120. I think there could be a chance in this game where one of the teams just says, let's just go for it here. Let's just take a chance to see if we can take a little bit of an extra lead here, maybe push it to 8 points or something like that. Make the team have to try and do a 2-point conversion on their own. But I also could see Butker or Elliott, and more Butker, I think, missing an extra point, because he has missed a few a little bit more recently in the year. And yeah, so I could see the Chiefs definitely going for a 2-point conversion, and I could even see the Eagles going for it. So plus 120, I'll take a shot on that.
So many different game scripts.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dan, I needed to see that. I'm trying so hard not to look at the scores. there's so many different game scripts where one of the teams has a 2-point conversion. I mean, you could just keep one after another, after another, and after another.
Sure.
These are very appealing props that you're on. Keep rolling.
And then so that I think that's good for me for like those kind of props. I got some player props now that I was looking at. I like Gainwell over 35.5 rushing receiving yards, or 36.5, sorry, rushing receiving yards. It is now at -115.
Rush and receiving at -115. I mean, I questioned Bobano last week going back to the well on Gainwell, and he had more rushing yards than Miles Sanders. So it's time to stop questioning it and start believing in it. So Gainwell over 36.5 rushing and receiving -115. What's next?
I like same thing with a couple of the guys earlier, Babano and a few guys. I like Goddard as well. I like Goddard over 40. I think it's 48.5 receiving yards now, -110. I think he's just going to be, if they get a little bit of pressure, he's going to be that dump down guy in the middle of the field. He definitely loves using Goddard. So I think 48.5 receiving yards. Definitely he's going to be heavily involved in this offense come Sunday. So I definitely like that. Everybody was all over Kelsey. Again, same thing. I like Kelsey as well. I'm going to take a shot with Kelsey 8+ receptions at +130. Again, I think he's just going to be a target mule. There's not a whole lot of other people that on the team that he relies on more than Kelsey. Even if it's just short passes, he'll try and get the ball in his hands as much as possible. So 8+ receptions +130. And then I also like AJ Brown 6+ receptions at +135. Again, another reliable guy. This is the game you went out and got AJ for. So you got to use him. You got to attack the defense with AJ. Just get the ball in his hands again. Same thing. This is the game that you got AJ for. So 6+ receptions +135. I like that shot as well. I was really hoping that they were going to have Sky Moore props for receiving yards or anything like that, but I don't think he's listed anywhere that I've seen, at least on FanDuel and Bet365 and stuff like that. But I do believe that Sky Moore is going to be a decent part of this offense come Sunday, with Tony and Juju and everybody that have been injured and not practicing, especially last week. I'm not sure how much they're going to practice this week. I feel like Sky Moore was definitely schemed in this offense come Sunday. So I took a shot on Sky Moore touchdown. It was +1200 when I took it the other day, but I think it's +950 right now.
Anytime touchdown on Sky Moore.
Yeah.
+950?
Yeah.
Got it.
And then one last little shot, TD parlay. Kelsey, Hurts, Goddard, and Tony at +7488.
Kelsey, Hurts, Goddard. Who's the last one you mentioned there? Kelsey, Hurts, Goddard,
and Tony. Kadarius Tony.
Kadarius. Okay, and Tony, and that was what?
+7488 on FanDuel.
I love it. That is fun action. Anything else you want to add before we review?
No, I think I got everything. The only other one that I was potentially looking at that I hadn't pulled the trigger on was maybe AJ Brown to have the most receiving yards in the game at +300. I haven't pulled the trigger on it, but I do kind of like it because I think, again, if they're going to take shots, he should be the guy they're taking shots to. I could see him going well over 100 yards in that game. So I might take a shot on it. I haven't decided yet.
He's got a size advantage over the DBs, and you have to utilize that here. That AJ Brown can be a bully, and you need it. What a fun group of bets you have here, Spenny. 2 cappers left for us, and we head over to the West Coast for these ones. And man, does your next capper ever put a smile on my face? I've enjoyed our live stream so immensely. He just brings so much life and action and excitement and humor and knowledge to our channel. Please welcome from San Diego, California, Mr. Sharpie's Bets in the house. Sharpie, how are you, my man?
I'm doing all right. Just got my wang sucked on for how long fucking our guy Spenny was going. I could have told her not to hurry, so feel bad that I got a quick little Hummer, but I mean, I could have enjoyed it, I guess. But let's get to the fucking money. And then I went Chiefs touchdown and field goal yardage over 98.5 at -115. I know Spenny was talking about he trusts both coach. I don't trust the Eagles coach. That dude's a jackass. He's going to go for it on 4th down when he shouldn't. I know Andy Reid won't. Andy Reid showed us 2 times in the red zone. He ain't fucking playing. He's taking his points when the points are given to him. I can bank on that with Reid. So I'm going to take the Chiefs touchdown with field goal yardage combined over 98.5. I liked attacking it that way, seeing I am on that Chiefs money line already.
That's interesting prop. I can't remember hearing anybody betting it before, but
well, combined was 198.5, but I really, if I could just get touchdown yardage from the Eagles, I'd go that way because I don't trust them to kick field goals. They go for it on 4th more than anybody else.
And there's a lot of cappers who think field goals are going to be scored in this game. Touchdown field goal yardage over 98.5. What was the juice on that?
-115, but that's strictly the Chiefs yardage I took.
Yes, strictly the Chiefs. Chiefs touchdown field goal yardage over 98.5 -115. Interesting. Keep rolling.
Those are legit the only 3 bets I got in. I got a prop show that we do with Billy and Big Show on Friday, so we'll get into that on there. But the prop they weren't offering me yet and the specials or anything is I want first touchdown in the first 6 minutes or whatever the fuck they're gonna give it to me. These are 2 explosive offenses, and especially I know the Chiefs aren't going to be pressured. They've been in this spot how many times now? So I expect points to be scored quick and by either which side. So I want touchdown or points within the first whatever the hell it comes out at.
Let's move on. We have one more guest, and we head to Las Vegas, California for him. But he, for whatever reason, he shoots right on screen immediately when he comes on. So he tries to plan it out properly. So I'm expecting him to be on screen here almost any second. And now there. Look at it's magic what this man does. Migda Mac Daddy come to us from Las Vegas, Nevada. You watch this man cash on every sport that's available to be cashed on. It's so much fun with the horses with you on Saturday. He's the star of all of our college programming, whether it be NCAA football or NCAA basketball. Also, the star alongside Mr. Ghoster of our golf programming. We have the unicorns in Canada who cap all the sports, but there's not many in America. And you are a unicorn in that regard. How are you, my man?
I'm good. I got slapped last week. Everything fell apart with Birdy, and I thought the Eagles, the whole game plan went to shambles. And then even the last game, I thought Kelsey cashed. They took away that last reception, which I didn't know about until later that night. I guess we were on screen. I didn't even see. They took it away. So it was rough, but I'm firing. Let's roll. Yeah, I think a few people mentioned this. I'm on Gainwell. Is over 4.5 rush attempts. He's at least, I think, going to get 6 or 7. It seems like they found, some comfort giving him the rock, especially as the year's gone on and the last few games. Even in some of the bad games, especially towards the second half of the year, I mean, it's 5, 6 for 35 for 39. That's why I'm on his attempts. It's 4.5. I got -120. That's the lowest I could find. And I got his over 19.5 rushing yards. That I think he gets for sure. He gets over 20. Has been money for him, and I do think he gets a ton of carries. See, I think Hurts can even get there, or Sanders. They're just going to run it. I'm going to stay off that. I think Hurts can get over the 50. I'm not going to mess around though. I thought of that a lot, and his temps at 10.5. I looked at it. Even last week, I didn't think like he ran, but he ran a little bit down there. He still had 11 attempts. Did Hurts in that game, but in the end, I'm going to stay off. Let's get to the receiving. I'm on Goddard.
Wait, can I hold you back here for a second? Gainwell over 4.5 rush attempts at -120, over 19.5 rush yards at
-110.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, keep rolling.
19.5 -110. He might even get in the end zone. Everyone's scoring down there. It seems. Eagles have played. People will say maybe easier schedule. I mean, I brought that up, or quarterback out, an easy Giants team that they saw for a second week in a row. But I think the Chiefs are in this game. That's why I'm not going full game. But I'm on Goddard. I think he's the safety blanket. Chiefs have struggled with tight ends at times, and I think Devonta Smith could have some success. I'm going to wait on that there, but I like his over 48.5 receiving yards, -105 in this game. And that's it. I'm going to stay off his TD because I can't get a good price. I waited on that, and that's dropped too low right now. I can't get over 175.
Sorry, C-Mac, I'm sorry, I'm line shopping for you for the team total. I did just find the 12.5 at -135. So we're dropping. I'm going to find the 13, but
no.
While I'm
13.5.
I missed that last prop while I was searching. So can you hit me with it again?
Just Goddard over 48.5 receiving yards, -105.
Okay, you got it. Goddard over 48.5 receiving yards, -105. Thank you.
Yep, that's it. I didn't jump on his TD earlier in the week, and it's just starting to fall. He's down to like a lot of places, 150, 160, because I think he could find the back of the end zone. And I might be on another prop or two with the Eagles, but that's enough for me here. Flip it to the Chiefs. This is one I'm going to wait because I don't think he plays, Jimmy. I think it's very minimal with Hilaire. I want to go back. I think Birdy mentioned it. No one's really talked about the game last year. Chiefs had big success. This is a year later, but that 42-30 game, and that's what tends me to. And just the more I think of this game goes over. I as much as I love an under, but I'm not going to be on the total. That's a live thing I might get on. I think there might be points in this game, but Pacheco, I think he gets over 48.5. I'm going to stop. I want to look into that more because I don't think Hilaire really gets many touches.
Were you surprised? Were you surprised that Birdy was on the Edwards-Hilaire props?
Yeah, I was, but it's such a big price. I mean, he was going for kind of a score, right?
Yeah,
10-1 down there, and that's the key too. The receivers out. You look at Scantling had that massive day. The guy no shows, and now Schuster, Hardman's out. They put him on IR. So it's just tough. Tony, Spenny Pennybombs, my guy mentioned it. There's not a lot of more props out there. You can't really find. I think he could have a day. And another guy I'm going to look at is McKinnon. I just don't know. I'm going to wait. I'm going to be on his over 19.5. Receiving yards. But let's get to it. Kelsey, give me the over 79.5, -110. And this is one I looked at a bunch because I don't play really those first touchdown props, or if you do, you just throw, I don't know, $40 on one. But this was first touchdown for the team, Chiefs, not anytime, just their first time touchdown. Kelsey +310. I thought there's a ton of value there. This guy's had touchdowns crazy. It seems like he's gotten a ton of first-time touchdowns. So at +310, Chiefs first touchdown, Kelsey +310. I thought there's a ton of value with that look. Let's keep rolling. This one I'm going to play too as well. I think there's over 6 touchdowns in this game. I got it even money. Both teams combined over 6 touchdowns. Either way we get it. There's kind of a better one. I want to look into a little bit more. Both teams have scored 3 touchdowns each. But I'm going to stay off. Just give me 6 total touchdowns. We get there with both these teams at even money. And, there's a few other specialty props I might throw a few bucks on. But this one I'm going to take with Butker. Spence mentioned there could be 2-point conversion. I'm going to take a missed extra point. I know they're in the dome. We're not dealing with much stuff there. But it was +325. I think we could see a doink. It's not the old kicking it real close anymore. These guys miss these all the time. So at +325, I took a stab at that. And that's it.
That's you got fun action, and I guess we'll close on. Please join us because we're all going to be hanging out together in San Antonio, and every year we're going to do it. So if you can't make it this year, know that this is going to be a yearly thing that we do right at this time, right at the end of March. Pub Up Palooza. And of course, I think we need to fix this sign because there's no slap fest there, Jose. And it's become a big selling point. It's become a hell of a selling point. So track your action and get that cash. And thank you for supporting us at Pub Sports Radio. Super Bowl 57 is next. Join us on Super Sunday and let's get fucking paid. Leche! Hey, Los Bookmakers. Palooza 2 on the horizon. We're going to have live shows popping off in the Southtown 101. We're going to have a poker tournament, a par 3 golf tournament, UFC San Antonio on the Saturday night. A lot of excitement. How about Palooza 2?